Good evening and welcome to CIL Round 2. This is going to be Season 5 at Laguna Seca. Matthew, take it from here.
Thanks, Christian. Well, race fans, we're looking forward to a fantastic race tonight here at WeatherTech Raceway here at Laguna Seca. Round 2 of the CIL Road Series takes us out west to the California skyline. Here, this tricky 12-turn track is going to really challenge drivers as they go down some of these iconic corners around here at Laguna Seca. Looking forward to a great race here tonight. Zach, anything you know about the track you can tell us about tonight?
Yeah, Laguna Seca is a pretty interesting track. It's very challenging in these GT3 cars that we'll be racing tonight. 11 turns in all, including some very high speed, very flowy turns through 3, 4, and 5, all the way up a very long uphill stretch into turns 7 and 8, which is the infamous corkscrew, a turn that has tricked a lot of professional, very, very good drivers through the years. A 5-story drop from the top of the corkscrew all the way to the bottom of turn 9, down through turn 10, two very high-speed turns, high onto the brake, hard onto the brakes into turn 11 and back across the stripe. There are tons of passing zones around here, lots of turns that require hard braking. Like I said, turn 11, the front stretch all the way into the Andretti hairpin, 1 and 2. And the corkscrew is always the big corner of interest, and we could potentially see some wild crashes and big action going into the corkscrew and into the hairpin. Nick, take it away.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are returning fans of CIL action, it should be noted that there hasn't really been much change since Season 4, but for us newcomers to the series, the format for tonight's road race is going to be very simple. 2 25-minute sprints, with qualifying currently taking place for Race 1. We'll then race for 25 minutes in a sprint-style format, and then at the end of Race 1, the top 12 will be inverted, meaning the guy who finishes in 12th from Race 1 will be inverted and will start on pole for Race 2. Other than that, we can go into our results that we had from last week, some notables. Race 1 was won by University of Virginia and Orange Wheel Racing driver Thomas Toomey, with second place being Clemson University driver Kyle Bonin, and third place being University of Wisconsin at Madison, Ted Burns. Race 2 was won by University of Alabama at Huntsville's Ryan Whitlock, with second place coming to you for Ted Burns from, once again, University of Wisconsin-Madison. And P3 rounding out our podium was Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia. Our current standings right now, and currently in the top 3 in our student division, those who are racing with green banners and green wing tips tonight are students. First place is with 83 points is Thomas Crump, who is from Clemson University, another Orange Wheel Racing driver, with second place being Ryan Whitlock from University of Alabama at Huntsville, and P3 being Shay McNeely from Oregon State. In the alumni division, which are cars with red windshield banners and red wing tips, we have currently in first place Thomas Toomey with 91 points, followed closely behind by Ted Burns from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and P3 rounding out that podium is Kyle Bonin. In terms of our school championships right now, the students is being led by Clemson University and Orange Wheel Racing, and the alumni is being led by the University of Virginia. It should be noted for those returning fans that there's an absence of a driver who has won way too many races in this league in the form of Sean Campbell. He had retired, but he's back, and he's dangerous. It took him 2 laps to get to the top of the practice sheets tonight, and I'm just going to get this out of the way. He's my pick to win both races. I'm taking it already, because he's just going to win it.
Oh man, are we doing picks already?
We're already doing picks.
That was just low-hanging fruit. I see Sean Campbell sitting on top of practice. He's also currently our provisional pole winner. But if I can't pick Sean, I've got to go with my fellow Clemson alumni, Kyle Bonin. He's shown a ton of speed all season. He's done really, really well. And he's got a really, really strong record in the CIL, these GT3 races. So I think Kyle Bonin is going to sit on top of the podium at least once tonight. Matthew?
Yeah, Zach and Nick, that's both really good insights from the both of you. It's a tough one tonight, especially, Sean's very quick, but we do have a lot of other quick drivers in the field. Current student leader Thomas Crump, currently sitting down around, I think that's P10-ish right now in qualifying, but I know he's got some speed. And we can't forget about that race 2 invert. Top 12 drivers do get inverted after race 1 for race 2, so you could see some drivers who maybe are mid-pack speed, a bit slower, taking some advantage, take an opportunity to get in the front. It's very difficult to pass here at Laguna Seca. You might see some crashes in that second race that take out some of the faster drivers trying to make their way through the field. So it's definitely going to be an interesting race tonight. I think especially race 2, you want to stick around and make sure that you keep your eye on that race. But we focus in now on one of our drivers here as they go around turn 3 for qualifying. Can't tell quite who that is from the in-car camera, but he is driving the Lamborghini. That is Thomas Crump of the 98 car from Clemson University, making his way under the Mother's Polished Bridge towards turn 5. Guys, what are some of the spots on this track tonight you think we might see some overtaking as we see Thomas Crump get a big wiggle coming out of turn 5, heading up towards the corkscrew now?
Well, if you ask me, I think a really big place for overtaking is going to be that turn 1, turn 2 hairpin, as well as the last corner, that hairpin. And then the other real big passing zone for those who, have a set of, steel anchors underneath their legs, it will be the corkscrew, because that pass, we saw Romain Grosjean take a really wild pass against Jimmy Johnson in Indy cars just last year. I think the boys here can definitely do the same.
And even in practice, I've seen a lot of overtaking being done, especially in those 3 turns. Nick, like you said, it takes a lot of guts to send it into the corkscrew and make a pass there. It's a very geographically odd turn, as Darrell Waltrip once so greatly put it. Personally, I like passing in the hairpin and in turn 11, but we could see a lot of guys, especially towards the end of the races here, really wanting to make moves into the corkscrew to try and gain those crucial points at the end of the race.
Yeah, that corkscrew is a daunting turn for some of these drivers here tonight. 59 feet, that's the drop between the left hander of the corkscrew and then the right hander of the corkscrew coming out of that complex of corners. So that's not exactly a gentle decline. You'd say that happens over the course of maybe a second at most. So I think the drivers who are going to be able to put their car on the edge tonight really navigate the corkscrew. And some of these other tricky corners too, like turn 10 and 11, those can be a little bit off camber, a little bit tricky for drivers, especially in these bigger, heavier GT3 cars. But I think the drivers who can really put their car on the edge and keep it under control, I think those are the drivers you're going to see really be successful tonight and move their way through the field. As we take a look at the onboard camera, here we are with one of the Porsches, I think that is. Not sure which driver it is right now. Andrew Williams, thank you very much. But Andrew Williams currently sitting, let's see, where is he in the standings?
I've got him at P17 right now with a 123.7 is his time.
Yep, 123.7, a few seconds off of pole position, currently held by Sean Campbell with a 120.598, excuse me. But like you guys said, Sean Campbell's going to be really fast tonight. What do you guys think some of the mid-pack racing is going to be like? Are we going to be a bit patient for the first race and more aggressive in the second? Or do we think we're going to see a lot of drivers be aggressive in that first race, trying to take advantage of that reverse grid for the second race?
Well, I think.
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, I think we've seen a lot of strategy with this invert. Like Nick said, we had it last season, and it just sowed chaos in the field. It was so much fun to watch. A lot of these mid-pack drivers from about 10th on back are going to try and fight for that 12th position. We've seen some guys in the past, maybe, if they're sitting 10th or 11th, they'll let the guy behind them go in front, say, you can start behind me on the invert. But if you're P12, P13, 14, 15, you are giving it everything you've got at the end of race 1 so that you can come out as the winner of that invert, and you can start on pole for race 2. Race 2, I think all bets are off. That's big points. That's the race that seals the deal. You still get the same amount of points as race 1 for where you finish in race 2, but it just carries so much more bragging rights that you're on the podium, you're on the top 5 when the final checkered flag fell.
Yeah. So as we come into qualifying here for Laguna Seca, Current track temperature appears to be about 123 Fahrenheit, with the ambient temperature being 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Currently partly cloudy, light breeze, 2 miles per hour. Shouldn't be affecting these drivers too much, but this track of Laguna Seca, it does have a big elevation change from all the way up to the corkscrew, the highest point of the track, all the way down the Andretti hairpin is a pretty big distance. That could be affecting some of these drivers. Maybe there might be some different winds at different sections of the track. So very important to look at the major difference here. Major takeaway is that track temperature, 123 Fahrenheit. That's going to be scorching for these drivers. Given that, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of tire wear going on. Maybe tire saving being a strategy, kind of sitting back earlier in the race, allowing your tires to save a little bit and then push at the end. So, Zach, what do you think about the tire strategy here, about saving tires? You know, that super high track temperature is definitely going to be a factor here tonight.
Well, it's going to be a game of managing your tires, like you said. That hot, slick track means there's going to be a ton of grip out there, just waiting to be found. But, you know, with an increase in grip comes an increase in tire wear. So I think whoever comes out on the podium, whoever's the most successful tonight, is going to be the one who's able to manage their tires to really ride that line between the maximum amount of grip, as well as maximizing their tire grip, as well as maximizing their tires and saving them until the end of the race. I believe that's the end of quali.
All right, with the end of qualification, we have our starting grid here tonight. Looks like it's going to be Sean Campbell for Randolph Community College, starting on the pole position for us tonight with a qualifying time of 1:20.598. Lining up alongside him in the alumni class pole winner, Nicholas Daly for University of Texas at Arlington in the 280 machine. Following up behind them, Kyle Bonnet and Justin Roberts locking out the second row for Clemson University, with Hagen Johnson, a Road Series regular, alongside Jeremy Miller, and not super familiar with the Road Series, but he's definitely a regular on the oval side. Following them, George Nimmer for Southern Illinois locks out row 4 with Ryan Whitlock. Thomas Crump and Alex Hallinar round out your top 10. Zach?
Starting P11, we have Carl Lemkuhl from St. Louis University. P12, Hunter Haddisty in the 888 machine from Clemson University. P13 rolls off Dan Banner in the 77. P14, Jordan Rika in the 04 machine, competing with the students class. Starting behind him in P15, Andrew Williams in the 23 from Clemson University. Then we have Ian Brown in P16. Andrew Burrell rolls off P17, followed by Michael Tognati, two Clemson drivers back-to-back, rolling off P18 there. And then taking the 19th starting position is Tyler Stone from St. Clair College. Nick?
Rolling off in P29, we have Daniel Rodriguez from Auburn University, but he's going to be sent to the back of the field to start the race due to qualifying infringements. Starting in P21 is Joe Hutzler, the 612 car from what looks to be... I do not know what school that is. He is also being sent to the back of the field tonight for qualifying infringements. P22, Etienne Leclerc from St. Clair College chose not to set a qualifying time, as well as P23, Theodore Burns, Ted Burns, really, from the University of Wisconsin. Jamie Lawrence, P24, in that 007 car from San Diego State. And in last, P25, the 24 car, my number, Kyle Wood from Ball State. And that is the field.
You have one more change to the field. Hagen Johnson will be starting from the back as well. He changed cars from race 1, or from Red Bull Ring, so he'll be starting at the rear with Daniel Rodriguez and Joe Hutzler.
Yeah, cars rolling off, coming around for a full pace lap, not a half lap like at some tracks it is in iRacing. And just a reminder for some of the newcomers here to the CIL, once you choose a car manufacturer at the start of the season, you must stick with that car manufacturer for the whole season. So, for example, Hagen Johnson is getting an EOL penalty for the first race tonight because he switched from whatever car he was running at the Red Bull Ring in the first race to a different manufacturer for tonight. And that applies to every driver for every race. What was that?
I think he ran the Mercedes at Red Bull Ring, and he switched to the Porsche tonight. For those who are not familiar why somebody would change cars, each one of these GT3 makes, there's Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes, a whole bunch of different cars, they all have strengths, they all have weaknesses, and sometimes those strengths play in very well to a certain type of racetrack. And for example, Hagen decided that the Porsche would be very good for tonight's racetrack, so he decided that in order to have that strength in the Porsche, he would be able to start at the back of the field and drive his way up to the front. Will that work? We're about to find out. Nick?
Yes, as well as just a couple of qualifying infringements tonight from Joe Hutzler and Daniel Rodriguez. No fault of their own. They just, for some reason, were driving in not their designated periods. We like to give the alumni time to qualify and then the students, and they simply just were qualifying at the wrong time. But I do believe that they'll have a chance, just like everyone else, to drive through the field as we're going to get ready to take green. Matthew.
Yes, we are. Sean Campbell leading the field green here as they roll up to the green flag. Car string out behind him, and Sean gets a great start from the inside line. Nicholas Daly on the outside, not a great start, but on the inside, it looks like to be Kyle Bonin coming in the Clemson machine, going side by side with Nicholas Daly, going down into turn one, the Andretti hairpin. Cars behind getting stacked up, braking early to make sure they not hit the cars in front of them. Looks like they're going to go too wide through a lot of that corner, but it looks like Kyle Bonin got the move done for second place on Nicholas Daly. That's not a move for position. That is a move for overall position, but in the class, Nicholas Daly still holds the lead. Looks like we get a little bit of movement up in the middle of the pack as Nicholas Daly continues to hold on to third. As we take a look here at Jeremy Miller in the 169 machine for Purdue University, going side by side with a couple of his fellow racers going up towards turn 5 to set himself up to get a nice, good exit onto the backstretch and towards the corkscrew.
Ooh, we just had problems in 5. I think Nimmer got a little sideways. He may have had some help there, but he got it all corrected as they head up the long Rahal straight into this dreaded corkscrew. I'm a little surprised we went through turn 1 completely clean, although Jeremy Miller did lose a few positions there because he went a little wide coming out of the hairpin. But it looks like everybody's going to keep it straight through the corkscrew. I think we may be seeing some patience in the opening stages of this race. Let's hope that changes. We want some action. We want entertainment.
Yeah, sounds good, Christian. Thank you to our producer, stepping up for the first time tonight for CIL, producing for the first time. Big thank you to him as we keep an eye on Thomas Crump going down towards turn 1, trying to chase his fellow Clemson car up in front of him. I think that's Alex Hallinar. I believe that's Clemson. Yes, it is. Oh, never mind. Looking at the wrong car. That is Alex Hallinar in the green car ahead of him. Thomas Crump in the Lamborghini with the green banners indicating that he is in the student class as he tries to chase down his fellow students in front of him.
And I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that start where you mentioned Sean Campbell had a great start. Somebody else who had great starts were Justin Roberts and Ryan Whitlock, currently holding P3 and P5. Both of those guys really got up to the bumper of the car in front of them. Gave a really nice push down through turn 1 into the hairpin, but kept it clean. And I believe Whitlock got a position out of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Ooh, go ahead, Nick.
Another thing to look out for, there's a little bit of dust going on, but I believe there was... I don't know if I saw a car take a little bit of a journey into the dust or not, but there was definitely a car jumping down the order significantly at the beginning of that race. I want to say it was either the 169 or maybe even what looked to be the...
I believe it was the 169 of Jeremy Miller from Purdue, the alumni from Purdue University. He went a little wide coming off of 2, coming out of the hairpin, got in the grass, and I think he lost a considerable amount of positions. So he's got some work to do tonight. He's currently sitting P11. And it may actually play into his favor because if the results hold as is, again, we're only a couple minutes into this race here. He's looking to start P2 at the split. So does he get aggressive? Does he try to go for more points, or does he play it safe and kind of hang towards the back and win the flip here, as they say?
Yeah, Zach, I think that's a really good point. I think at a track like Laguna Seca, with the difficulty it is to pass here, really your only chances are turn 1 and maybe the corkscrew if you're lucky, as we see up ahead of Jeremy Miller, and they might be a pass into the corkscrew. But being 11th, 12th, that's a good position for the second race. So Jeremy might be thinking it's like, it's tough to pass. It's not worth it. Maybe defend a little bit. Maybe just make sure that his car doesn't have any damage and he can hold on to the spot and get a good starting position for the second race tonight.
Yep, and as we just saw there, you saw George Nimmer overtaking Andrew Williams, I believe it was, for P8 going into the corkscrew. So there, like we talked about at the top of the show, you got to have some guts to send it into the corkscrew, and Nimmer sure did. He got the pass.
Yeah,
he went around
absolutely.
The outside too. That was crazy.
Yeah, you got to be really brave on the brakes there, because especially around the outside, that track kind of just falls. You think there's more runoff or there's more track when you turn in, then you turn in and it's just dirt. The corkscrew's a lot tighter when you actually turn in than it looks like. That blind downhill corner makes it really difficult to really put the car where you want to see it. You kind of just have to know by feel in the corkscrew where to put the car. But good racing so far. Pack's a little bit bunched up, not a whole lot of side-by-side action. Looking just drivers settling in, trying to get into a rhythm, kind of chase down the car in front of them.
Guys, I want to take a bit of an attention right now to the lead. I've been watching my intervals here and my timing sheets. I am seeing right now that Sean Campbell and Kyle Bunn are running practically identical times.
Spin, corkscrew, Miller in around.
Take a look over there.
I don't know if he had any assistance there.
You see Miller coming up the hill here. He's looking to have a car to his left. Side by side, Miller just gets loose. Oh, he hits another car. Stewarding teams definitely have to take a look at that. Maybe some penalties to assess there. I see Miller did cause another car to go off track.
But I think a lot of the other cars that were involved in that kind of got away scot-free. I think Miller was really the instigator of his own demise at that point. I wouldn't think that there'd be a penalty coming from that, but you never know. I'm sure there might be some other incidents going on later down the track that maybe there was some damage that, maybe a meatball flag or something that might warrant a penalty, but we'll have to see what the stewards think of that.
And Nordberg, you just had talked about running out of space there in the corkscrew. It's a very deceptively short turn. I've had many a race. I've ruined myself many a race there in various series. So I completely understand Milleran's pain there. But it looks like he just ran out of room. That's pretty much what happened. Speaking of incidents, there we see Carl Lemkel. Carl Lemkel just went off going up the Rahal straight there, and I think Hagen Johnson had himself a little bit of a spill because he started 5th and he's currently scored 13th.
Well, actually, Hagen Johnson had to start in the rear. He started 23rd, so he's actually plus 10 positions right now.
You're right.
That's
another thing I wanted to bring up is we had 3 guys start from.
We got a spin here. Ian Brown going side by side with Hagen Johnson. Looks like it comes off the worst out of the two of them. Going through, looks like it was turn 10, coming down towards that final corner. Just 2 cars into one in that corner doesn't work with the camber. It's really only one fast line there.
See if we can't get a replay there. See what happens. See if we can't just get a little bit of a explanation of what went on. We got 2 cars coming down side by side right now. They're coming into the corner, and
Yep.
It looks like Ian Brown simply thought he could go where Hagen had his car, and that's just simply not allowed. And he bit his own dust there. He made his own penalty out of that.
Such is the story of racing. Is this is such a narrow track for these GT3 cars. Everybody's fighting for room, and looks like those guys just ran out of room. They wanted to be in each other's space, and the 3 cars just got the short end of the stick there.
As Fernando Alonso once said, you have to leave the space. And I think Hagen left plenty of space there. It's just that Ian Brown decided that Hagen's space is his space. And we got another incident. We got Carl Lemkel around. We got a UAH car around.
Oh, wait a minute. Did something happen to Sean and Kyle? Did they maybe take each other out? I'm seeing them drop down the order here.
I just think their transponders are going weird.
We got confirmation from race control that nothing funky happening there, just some issues with the transponders.
Sean on my end is still in P1, holding a comfortable 5-second lead.
The
A,
joys of technology.
a battle to watch right now would be P8 and P9. I'm hearing over the radio chatter right now that George and Andrew Williams are getting a little bit heated at each other. They're spitting some words. They're saying, "Oh, come on now, give me some space." They're getting a little bit heated here. I'd like to see this battle continue on right now.
Oh, and I think we had just had a little spillover into the corkscrew. Is that Thomas? That's Thomas Crump and Alex Hallinar, I think. If we could get a replay. Yeah, there, there you just saw him drive by Crump as he gets going.
Oh, that's Kyle Wood.
Oh, that's Kyle Wood. Sorry. Man, what happened here?
Let's take a look here. We got Kyle Wood. He's coming into the corner. He's taking us a bit too high, and
no.
that's straight into the sand. Now, what happens here with Thomas Crump?
Crump? Did he do the same thing?
That's not him.
That's what in the world?
Did someone reverse onto the track?
Here's Crump and Hallinar. Crump, he's going to get into the corner. He did
the same thing. Oh,
he
man.
just did the same thing. That turn in the corkscrew, that will get you. The two cars tonight just not having a good time. It's slicker out there than banana peels in Mario Kart. I tell you what, it's just not going their way.
Nordberg, that was, Nick, that was, that's, you know, I'll give it to you. That was a good comparison, but Nordberg, man, you've just cursed a lot of drivers. We've talking about running out of space. I think we're starting to see some tire and brake fade now on these cars. People need to bring their braking points back because they're sending it just a little too hard into the corkscrew, and there, as we saw, two isolated incidents. Yeah, slicker than a banana peel in a Mario Kart race.
Yeah, especially, I guess, that corner maybe is just a little bit of brain fade comes in, get into a little bit of a lull. No, you're not racing anyone side by side super intensely. You just miss your braking point by, 5 meters, especially in the corkscrew, and you'll be sliding off the track, trying to do your best Tokyo drift impression. But yeah, like you said, slick track, worn tires, it's just a combination that's waiting for disaster to happen.
And I'll tell you what right here, this battle for 7th with George Nimmer and Drew Williams getting a bit tight, but a third party may have just entered the chat. We got Hagen Johnson still on his climb from P23 starting. He's looking really hot right there in P9. And in practice, he was second quick. So he is forced to be reckoned with if we get to that point. But with 9 minutes left to go in this race, right now just looking over the transponder again. Sean pretty much has this first race wrapped up. Kyle is trying his best, but just simply can't keep up. The battle is for the third podium spot. Justin Roberts and Nicholas Daly. We'll take a look over there. They are duking it out right now for P3.
Yeah, Nick, you mentioned that Hagen was second fastest in practice. He's really carrying that speed through the field today, as you said. He's worked his way up from 23rd. Now he's into P9. But obviously second to Sean Campbell, who is currently our leader, and gapping P2 Kyle Bonin as we speak. This battle between Williams and Nimmer has gotten heated up as Williams goes to the inside of Nimmer. They're about to go into the hairpin now, and Williams sends it a little hard.
Oh, I think there's a little bit of a touch there.
He's gonna get the position though. Going back to this battle for P3 though, looks like Justin Roberts has opened up a little bit of a gap on Nicholas Daly there. So we're going to see how both of these battles plays out, as we've got about just under 9 minutes left in the session. And I think Hagen Johnson's about to go on to, he's making a challenge on Nimmer now for P8.
Yeah, Hagen Johnson really making quick work of some of these slower cars in the field. Like you guys both said, second quickest in practice. He definitely does have the pace. Maybe that switch to the Porsche for tonight definitely benefiting him. Maybe knowing that he was going to have to take a penalty, maybe focusing more on race pace than anything else, but definitely trying to make a quick work of George Nimmer here as he looks on the inside of turn 9, but not really a place you can overtake unless you get a little bit of help from your fellow racers. But looks like the best place for Hagen Johnson to make a move here might be down into turn 1, take that back. He's looking down the inside in turn 12. Excuse me, turn
wanted it.
11. Yeah, he wasn't
wanted it.
waiting there. He saw the chance and took it, but George Nimmer just a bit stronger on the brakes there, was able to hold the line going into turn 11. But at this rate, I don't know if George Nimmer can hold off Hagen Johnson for much longer.
I'll tell you what, Hagen is just on a hell march to the podium right now. He has got pace. He has just burned his way through the field, but I think he's not burned his tires. And I think he may have sent it just a little too hard into 11 there on the previous lap. He probably should have been a little more patient. But we're going to see how this battle heats up, as I think the battle for P3 is heating up. I've got 4/10 between Justin Roberts in P3 and Nicholas Daly in P4.
Yeah, these two have been scrapping at it for quite a while now. You know, only a few tenths separating them from corner to corner. But Nick, you had something to say?
Taking a look here through the field right now in P10, the 888 car of Hunter Hedesti. Only his second ever race in the CiL, and he is running right now in P10. You know, it does not matter what the car size field is, 25, 40 cars in oval. Anytime you put a car in the top 10 in this series, it is an accomplishment. And he just won the dirt there. That just, you know, talking good for him. But
come on, Nick.
Yes,
Commentators curse.
I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. He's got Ted Burns behind him. Ted Burns, our resident race engineer and the Porsche Carrera Cup in real life. You know, he's probably putting a good thread on him here.
Well, and you might also see people like Hunter and Ted and Dan, P11, P10, P12 respectively. I think they're pretty satisfied with where they are, considering they're a solid 2 or 3 seconds behind the people in front of them. I think they've got their eyes set on this invert.
And we take a look at the battle for P12 right now. Right now, if the race was to end as it is, Dan Banner starts on pole for race 2. He is currently 12th. And he has pole position over Jamie Lawrence in P13 by 8 seconds, according to my monitor.
I was going to say, I think he's pretty much got it secured. If he keeps it together from here to the end, he's got a really sizable lead over Lawrence there at P13. So
take a look at my monitor.
Satisfied where he is, yeah.
Take a look at my monitor right now. Jamie Lawrence actually put a lap almost 3 seconds faster than Dan Banner last time out.
Oh,
so
goodness.
There is a chance that we are going to get something spicy here in these last 4 minutes for the pole position. But, of course, that's just speculation.
Yeah, Nick, I was about to say that Jamie Lawrence definitely has some speed in him. He started in the back. He didn't have qualifying time, but you know, in previous races and previous seasons, Jamie has been up there fighting for alumni class wins, alumni podium positions, overall podium and wins. So I wouldn't put it past him for Jamie to kind of put in some quick qualifying laps here, catch up to the back of Dan Banner, and hopefully overtake him by the time this race ends in the next couple minutes.
Just last time out, running through my monitor again, Jamie Lawrence 122.4, Dan Banner 125 flat. So that gap is shrinking fast.
And speaking of gaps, the gap at the front of the field continues to grow as Sean Campbell crossed the stripe 7.5 seconds ahead of P2 Kyle Bonin. So I think P1, P2 is pretty much settled. But the battle for P3 now has just over a second between Justin Roberts and Nicholas Daly, with another 5 seconds back to P5 Ryan Whitlock, who has about 0.2 of a second between him and Alex Hallinar for that battle for P5. We could see some of these middle field battles get a little spicy here, as we've got, what, just over 3 minutes left?
Yes, according to my clock, we got 2.5 minutes left to go, plus 1 lap, of course. That's how sprint races work. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting that Jamie Lawrence catches Dan Banner, because they just crossed the line again. And we're getting word that the 169 went off track again. Let's take a look at that real quick. Oh,
Jeremy.
Oh my.
Man.
I mean, his race has gone from bad to worse. I mean, it looks like.
Oh, did he have some help? Uh-oh.
Let's take a look here. He's He's parked it in the garage on my screen. Let's see if we can get a little bit of information here. That's Jordan Reich in the 04. He is
And south is I think that's Crump.
We gotta search through the footage, find the CCTV cams of this wreck.
that's him just pulling out of the dirt.
Who's that in front of him that spun? Was that?
That looks to
that
be
Jordan
Crump,
Reed?
if you ask me. I'm gonna take a look here and see just exactly what happened from this.
This is Jordan. So Jordan spun in turn 3. Looks like he just he just lost the back end of it there. So looks like the incidents involving Reek and Millerin were isolated. Millerin spun all the way on the Rahal Strait between 6 and the Corkscrew, if I remember
Boys,
correctly.
after taking a look at the incident on my screen, looks like Millerin, in a desperate attempt to pass Andrew Burrell, dipped his rear tire into the sand and simply self-spun.
Yeah, here we go. This will show it.
I'm going to take a look at it right here. Andrew Burrell defending from Jeremy Millerin. Jeremy Millerin, looks like we've lost him. And
that's not them.
That's not ideal.
Looks like the replay has been lost to the internet.
But in simple layman's terms, Millerin had a fun time wrecking, and then it looked like Crump, or actually that's Tognati. Tognati, he suffered a similar fate. He just he also in the corner just overdid it and put it into sand. But I do believe here, I believe we're now on the final lap. If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Hagen Johnson is continuing his charge. He's currently sitting 9th. He's about to go around the outside. Oh no! Spin in 2. Hagen Johnson looks like, let's take a look at the replay here. Hagen Johnson was going to make the move here on Nimmer with Ted Burns behind him, and Johnson just overdrove the corner and spun it. Come on, man. Oh.
Yeah, it looked like there's a little bit of contact there, maybe between looks like Nimmer and Johnson. But as we say that, it looks like Jamie Lawrence did get past Dan Banner to take over that 12th position for the pole position for the invert.
Well, boy, Sean Campbell has come around the last corner to take the checkered flag for race 1. Sean Campbell is a winner of race 1 here in the CiL Road Round. He has done a fantastic.
Sky is blue.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job. He had no contest, really. I hate to say it because my boy Kyle Bonin, managing OWR and all that, they looks that they just didn't have enough there.
Yep, looks like Kyle Bonin was able to bring it home P2 there. The final gap between P1 and P2, 9.69 seconds. There you see Kyle on screen. Coming around turn 11 and across the stripe.
Gents, I believe they're at race speed. I may be wrong here. I think they still got 3 minutes left of racing.
Do they?
Yeah.
I apologize.
Oh goodness.
We were just practicing for the actual checkered flag.
Just practicing, of course, because I mean, if Sean Campbell loses, I'll pay Zach $100. So that's all I gotta say about that. I just don't see that happening. We got about.
You better be careful. The commentator's curse might strike again.
I was about to say, and I've received news that I've received news from production that Nick has been sacked as commentator. So.
Oh, good Lord! I mean, I do the best I can. Basically, I'm like the Clint Boyer of the booth as it is. I don't even know why I'm here. They just signed me on to be the entertainment. But I mean, we got at P3 right now, Justin Roberts. This battle for the last podium spot is getting spicy, as Nick Daly may be looking to do something about it. He's in the draft of Justin Roberts. He's sniffing that diffuser. Matthew?
Yeah, these two are fighting real hard for that last podium position. Still another race tonight, so these cars don't want to ruin their race, maybe get into a wreck now, because, they still have another 25-minute race to come. But, these two have been pretty much nose to bumper for the entire race at this point. I think Justin Roberts had a better start. Maybe Nicholas Daly tuning his car a bit more towards race pace, tire conservation, rather than that quick start with the tires. So Nicholas Daly kind of coming into his own right now, but hopefully we see some action between these two right now.
Looks like this. I'm looking at my radar here, and it looks like 8, 9, P8, P9, P10 are separated by a little less than a second, with Hagan Johnson and P11 only 4 seconds behind that. So let's take a look back here and see what's going on. Fight between Ted Burns, George Nimmer, Hunter Haddesty, and Hagan Johnson.
Yeah, and as we look back at this battle between 8, 9, and 10, Sean Campbell has taken the white flag, and I can confirm it. This is for real this time, I promise. But Sean Campbell coming up into turn 4 now. Looks like there's a bit of a spinner on the apex. There might be a crash between some of the back markers that Sean had to navigate, but gets through cleanly as we keep our eyes on this battle for the 8th, 9th, and 10th position.
Yeah, it looked to be Thomas Crump and someone else. I need to take a look at the monitor again. I do believe it was Crump. It was Crump.
Yeah.
Crump and Wood. Bonin is still P2 right now. Right, we got a few cars multiple laps now. And Kyle Wood is one of them sitting back in P22. It is a shame. Trying his best to bring on the banner for Ball State, but today is just simply not his day. We all have those days. I have that day every time I try a road course. So Kyle Bonin off the road a little bit, but still P2 right now.
Yeah, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Sean Campbell, your race 1 winner of CIL round 2, season 5, round 2. I can't talk now. Thanks, Nick. Sean brings it home on top of the podium. Kyle Bonin will cross P2. Let's see what Daly has for Roberts here. Doesn't look like anything, as Roberts will round out the podium. Nicholas Daly finishes P4.
Yeah, some good racing throughout the field as we look back at Andrew Williams in 7th position right now, trying to hold off Ted Burns. As we look back, looks like Hunter Haddesty hitting a dive bomb on George Nimmer there. Really opportunistic. George Nimmer left the door open there, but looks like Hunter Haddesty for Clemson University is going to be taking that 9th position in first race of the night. George Nimmer comes home 10th. Hagan Johnson with a good recovery from the back of the field to 11th. And our pole position winner for our second race of the night for the invert is Jamie Lawrence out of the University of San Diego State. So Jamie Lawrence coming from the back of the field all the way up into the 12th position. He will start on the pole for race 2 of the night. Yeah, we just have a few more drivers coming through here. Finishing out your lead lap driver, looks like it's going to be Andrew Burrell coming home in P14. So, well, Nick, we had an exciting first race with lots of incidents on this very tricky track. What's your take on the first race?
The drivers are having a bit of an issue with grip, and it is apparent. We have a lot of cars thinking it's a beach day and heading straight for the sand. And race cars aren't beach goers. They don't like sand. They don't like water. And I don't think that's good for them there. Just a quick little note. Hunter Haddesty and George Nimmer have had some words over radio chat over that move for P9. They are not happy at each other right now. But we're gonna move on into the results. Sean Campbell, of course, he won today from Randolph Community College. He's gonna be looking to start P12 here in the next race. Kyle Bonin, Clemson University, OWR driver, P2. Justin Roberts, P3, Clemson University, OWR driver. P4, Nicholas Daly from the University of Texas at Arlington. P5, Alex Hallinar from State University of New York, Binghamton. P6 was Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama, Huntsville. P7, Andrew Williams from Clemson. P8, Ted Burns from Wisconsin. P9, Hunter Haddesty from Clemson University. And P10, George Nimmer for the next top 10, Zach.
Taking it home, P11 is Hagen Johnson from Clemson University. P12, Jamie Lawrence, the alumni from San Diego State. P13 goes, and that, yeah, Hagen Johnson will be starting on pole for race 2. To his outside will be, or no, Jamie Lawrence, excuse me, will be starting on pole for race 2 with Hagen Johnson to his outside. Rounding out P13, rounding out the rest of our top 15, Ian Brown takes P13. Andrew Burrell, last car on the lead lap, takes P14. First car 1 lap down, Daniel Rodriguez. He finishes P15. Rest of the field, go Matthew.
Coming home in 16th, Thomas Crump. We saw him start up towards the front of the field, but sadly he had a race to forget today. We're going to be starting 15th again for the second race of the night. Excuse me, 16th for the second race of the night. Jordan Reich, we saw him also have issues spinning into some of the gravel. He was 17th. 18th, Dan Banner. We saw him competing for that reverse grid pole, but sadly fell to 18th before the end of the race for St. Clair College. Tyler Stone, also from St. Clair College, finishing 19th. Behind him, Jeremy Millerin and Carl Lemkel round out 20th and 21st. So those are some of the drivers who were able to finish the race. We had Kyle Wood, Joe Hutzler, Michael Tognati, and Athena Leclerc did not finish the end of the race. They pulled into the pits for one reason or the other and just decided to kind of call it there and maybe relax a bit before the next race of the night. So that rounds out our race 1 finishers for the night. Race 2, just as a reminder, as we've said it plenty of times already, so I'm sure you're going to love to hear it again. Top 12 for race 2 are inverted, so we will have Jamie Lawrence on the pole for the second race. Sean Campbell will be 12th, and everyone else finish, and then, work from there to figure out where the rest of the drivers will be starting. But looking forward to a great second race tonight. Nick, what do you think is going to happen here with some of the slower drivers being towards the front?
Well, personally speaking, we got 2 really fast race car drivers in P1 and P2 for this coming up race with Jamie Lawrence and Hagen Johnson. I would not be surprised if one of those 2 ended up on the podium. As far as the drivers on down the line, Ted Burns, he'll be starting in P5. He's always a threat. And then, of course, Kyle Bonnet and Sean Campbell. It's going to be a race to see who gets to the front first. My bet's on Sean. Sorry, Kyle, even though I love you, buddy. Clemson faithful. My money's on Sean. He's just too good. But in terms of like drivers like George Nimmer, Hunter Hidesti, Whitlock, those drivers, it's gonna be a little bit difficult for them. They're Whitlock being a winner for the first time in his career last week. He's familiar with the territory, but for some of these other drivers, this territory is uncommon and can lead to a little bit of overconfidence. From 13th on back, the only person I see making any kind of a run towards the front, Thomas Crump starting 16th. Maybe he can get it behind him this time around. And Carl Lemkel starting P21. I'd like to see him. I think he can definitely get a good top 10 out of it. Zach, do you see anything out of this field here?
Yeah, Matthew, you talked about Thomas Crump really having a race 1 to forget. A lot of drivers that you see there finishing towards the bottom of race 1 had a race to forget. Big couple that come to mind are Jeremy Millerin and Carl Lemkel. They just did not have a very good race 1. I don't know if it was the tires fading or if it was the pressure, but they had a lot of incidents. They wound up in the sand. So hopefully they took that short 5-minute little warm-up to clear their heads, because they're both very, very good race car drivers, as well as Thomas Crump, and I want to see them competitive in this second race. But as for who I think is going to come home with it, I mean, I gotta go either Hagen Johnson or George Nimmer. They're both very good drivers. Obviously, Hagen already has a win this season. He won race 1 of the closer last year at Interlagos, and Nimmer has shown speed really all season, this season and last. So, yeah, Sean's going to charge through the field, but I just don't think he's going to have enough time to get to Hagen and Nimmer and Lawrence. I think they're just going to drive away. And we just
Yeah,
received word from race control that that incident that we saw with Miller causing a caution, he has received an end of line for that. So a day that really has been horrible goes even worse for him. But no doubt that he'll be back up at the front. He'll be back up racing for good positions.
I would be inclined to believe that the team of stewards tonight is going to deem Hunter Hidesti and George Nimmer's little escapade in the last corner a racing incident. Although that's going to be a story for me, at least personally, because those two, the radio chatter, it was getting kind of spicy. I do believe that those two are going to be just about as mad as a Kyle Busch and a Kurt Busch show on a hot Sunday afternoon. So, and they're starting side by side, and they're going to have turn one to each other, and I would not be surprised to see one in the sand.
Oh boy, this is about to get spicy.
Yeah, I expect a lot of chaos here on this opening lap. Some slower drivers maybe with a bit earlier braking points than some of the more experienced and fast drivers behind them. So you never know what to expect here at Laguna Seca. We saw a lot of chaos in the first race. And, given how chaotic the second race has been in the previous races this season and past season, I can only expect it to get crazier tonight as well. So looking forward to this second race of the night as we have Jamie Lawrence leading the field of pole, going through the corkscrew now. Currently, the top 5, it's mostly alumni, but that alumni student class split, when you're racing for position, doesn't seem to be a big factor coming to some of these guys' minds. As the pace car leads these guys up towards the penultimate corner of the lap. Turn 10, this right-hander super tricky to get right during the race. That camber right on the inside with the curb, got to get it spot on. But as Jamie Lawrence leads the field of green for the University of San Diego State, we should expect to see some good racing between the cars. So coming around the final corner now, Jamie Lawrence leading them off the corner at constant
Here
speed.
we go.
But now Jamie Lawrence jumps to start, gets a good launch with the green flag. We see chaos in the back as cars get slow off the line. 3 wide in the back as Jamie Lawrence takes a commanding lead over into turn 1. Behind them, they're stretching out 2-3 wide with looks like George Nimmer going into turn 2. 3 wide into turn 1. 3 into 1 just does not go. As it looks like that is the Ted Burns moving up, pushing George Nimmer off the side of the track, but they all make it through the first corner clean as George Nimmer and Ted Burns still go side by side through turn 3, heading into turn 4 now. Leading the front of the pack on screen. Looks like these two are going to be going side by side all the way up to the corkscrew almost at this rate. Looks like Ted Burns gets a good exit out of turn 4, but who's that behind him? Looks like Hagen Johnson trying to head up the inside of George Nimmer. Those two had a little bit of an incident in the first race, but George Nimmer slowly falling back, maybe not getting a good line out of the corner, but so far so good. No cars in the gravel. As we see right behind him, one of the Clemson cars
just got
rearing
punted.
someone. Yeah, Whitlock got punted, and we see chaos coming onto the the Rahal straight, and it's just
we got more
still
wrecking.
We got Arca Brake weekly in the CIL right now, but it looks like cars left, right, center all over the track. Oh, we're gonna need to replay that one, guys.
I think what I saw was I think I saw Hagen Johnson spin, and then Whitlock just got punted.
Come on, holy!
And then it was just chaos after that.
Yeah, I'm sure Jamie Lawrence is looking in his mirror, just questioning where everyone is right now. But
so I'm seeing a lot of cars coming up this backstretch here, or I'm no longer seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of cars coming to the backstretch here. Get into that corner. Looks like Drew Williams, and then there goes Hagen, and then there goes a couple other people, and then oh my God, it's getting into a roadblock, and then holy Jesus! Oh my! That's gonna be that's a corner to forget right there. I mean, that's turn 4 in Spain this past Spanish Grand Prix weekend. We got a couple cars doing some synchronized spinning right there. I mean,
yeah, I think Drew Williams is going to be looking at a penalty for that one. I guess he didn't expect Whitlock to check up going into 6th there, and he just drove straight through him. And then Johnson spun. Oh man,
we got a car in the air right there. That's Nick Daly just pounding Whitlock. I mean that's a hard hit right there.
And then even after this, they're still wrecking behind him. I think I see is that Kyle Bonin there behind Daly right there? He got sandwiched between let's see. I want to see what happens here because they were still wrecking.
Yeah, I think it's just 3 cars going onto where one car can fit on the track. I think they were all trying to get away from the wreck on the right-hand side and caused a wreck on the left.
Always you must leave the gap.
We got a few badly damaged race cars still driving right now. Andrew Williams, his car is somehow still rolling. I don't know how. That car is beat to all known. Andrew
Yeah, as we take a
Burrell,
look
his
at that
car is
replay
beat
here,
up.
I just saw Hagen Johnson make a pass on 2 cars in one corner. So some of these cars still going strong, but it's going to be a race to forget for a lot of these drivers.
That's just a very difficult situation. I don't really know what to make out of it. As a race car driver, when something doesn't go your way on lap 1 and you have to race 25 more minutes, that's just demoralizing. You don't really know what to do with yourself at this point. I mean, it takes the strongest of men. As Hagen Johnson just dumped it, he's in the wall hard. And
Yeah, Hagen Johnson just got loose on the exit of turn 4
That
and
Kyle Bonnet spun too. Out of 6.
yeah, Kyle
I believe
Bonnet
that
in
was
the grass.
I believe that was Bonnet. Dang it, that was one of my picks too.
Let's see what happened here. If we can get a replay on that spin. Let's see, we got Kyle Bonnet coming up to the corner, taking it, and the rear
Oh,
just says absolutely not. I'm not going there. And well,
hot
part of
slip track.
part of the tango of racing one of these GT3 cars and the fact you have anti-lock brakes and traction control is the front end and the rear end have to agree with each other on where they're going. And it's clear that Kyle Bonnen's rear end did not agree. And here with Hagen Johnson, same
God.
deal. The rear end and the front end are not agreeing on where should we be going. And that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, and I do want to mention one of the tough parts of this track is that it's surrounded by basically dirt. It's not grass, it's just dirt. And if your car touches that dirt at all, you're going around. I've noticed, especially in practice, through the races, through my own personal experience racing here, in whatever cars, if you touch that dirt, you're done. And I think that's exactly what we saw with Hagen and Kyle there, as well as some of the other drivers that have spun, is they just made contact with the dirt. Either they took the corner a little too deep, they sent it a little too wide on exit, maybe they clipped it through the apex, but it's just unforgiving. And that's what requires so much
oh, we got a
skill.
wreck of the
And
corkscrew with Hagen Johnson
as
again.
Hagen Johnson again in the corkscrew.
Ooh, big incident.
God,
Hagen Johnson was
really.
trying to make a pass around the outside, but just got it all
Right
wrong.
here, Kyle Wood in there, and
Oh,
Hagen.
3 wide.
Who was that taking it 3 wide?
Hagen took it. Let's see, that's
Who's that on the inside there? Man, race to forget for Hagen Johnson. This is brutal.
Hagen went off track to make a pass. That's Daniel Rodriguez.
Is that Daniel Rodriguez right there? Yeah.
As far
Man.
as Hagen is concerned, that move to make a pass there, jump into the dirt. I don't want to be one of those people to say that, but I think it's an easy decision for the stewarding committee. You just simply can't do that. Like that's just an act of desperation.
I think there's 2 different things you can look at here. Obviously, Hagen came down into who was that in the middle there? Was that
I look to be Kyle Wood there in the middle.
Kyle Wood? He kind of came down into Wood there, and again, as we've said throughout the show, like Fernando Alonso has famously said, you must always leave the space. It didn't look like Hagen left much space there, but also Daniel Rodriguez sending it to the inside. I don't think that was a smart move either, because you saw that he didn't make the corner. He went into that dirt that we talked about right there into the beginning of the corkscrew, and it spun him out too. So really just a perfect storm there going into the corkscrew, and a lot of drivers just having bad luck out there.
It's looking like there's going to be a lot of easy decisions for our stewarding committee tonight to assess some post-race EOL penalties for the next race. I mean, that's if I'm Daniel Rodriguez and I see a car getting loose on the outside, I don't really understand the move to the inside like that, but that's just beyond me. All right, here
Not really sure what he was thinking there.
We're looking at Carl Lemkool and what looks to be Dan Banner having a go. 2 drivers who did not have the greatest of races in race 1. They're right next to each other, according to my monitor. Carl Lemkel's about 6/10 faster than Dan Banner right now, so we may be looking for an eventual pass here.
Look at that. I told you Carl was going to be back. That's my boy.
Yeah, this is the closest on-track battle for position right now. Sean Campbell, though, did just pass George Nimmer to get up into the podium spots after starting 12th, so he was able to get through all the chaos in the first lap okay. But Sean Campbell making a slow but steady march to the lead. This, though, still the closest on-track battle between these three. Currently fighting for 7th, 8th, and 9th position. Two alumni and one student. Will they work together? Because the alumni are fighting for the position in their class, but looks like Banner got a little bit loose
Banner
on the
made a
outside,
mistake.
got way wide. Carl Limkel easy through, should be able to make this path perfectly fine into turn one and hold on to position there, but just a little bit wide. And it's just one of those characteristics of this track where you always feel like there's more road than there actually is. You think you can really run the track out, and then you instantly hit dirt out of nowhere. It's one
Well,
of
and
the reasons why this
especially
track is so tricky.
right there in turn two, coming out of the hairpin, that entrance, and it's almost two distinct corners. When you're driving in, it's a very tight left-hander, and then a not as tight left-hander, and then another very tight left-hander. So it's very late entries really to both of those corners, and you just run out of racetrack very quickly to try and set yourself up for that high stretch sprint from turn three all the way up the hill to the corkscrew. Um,
Yeah, Zach, don't mean to interrupt you there, but it did look like we had our second place driver, Ted Burns. He had a little bit of an incident in the corkscrew a moment ago. Let
uh-oh.
Sean Campbell through, so we might get a replay of that soon. Let's see what we can find.
Oh man.
Oh,
And I was
that's
just
a car
about to
facing
say,
the wrong
Sean.
way.
I was about to say, Sean might have a rough time getting by Ted Burns there with Ted's Porsche Cup experience, but yep, right there, he touched the dirt and he just went around. Oh
Yeah.
man,
You can
just
normally
drove
get
right
by
by.
if you just touch the dirt with your front tires, but if you stick in that dirt too long and you're on the gas with your rear tires in it, you just get excessive amounts of wheel spin and just spin the car right around. All that drive going straight into the dirt, nowhere to go, but really all that power to spin your car rather than go forward. But Carl Lemko making steady progress on Jordan Reich here. Caught up a little bit, couple tenths behind now. Looking to make a move sometime in this lap, hopefully, if he's optimistic. But this track, you always have to be patient. You can never force anything. You can't force the issue here at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca because if you do, you've seen plenty of what will happen. You've seen wrecks, you've seen spins. So patience is the name of the game here for these drivers tonight.
Well, and despite the number of really high-speed, smooth corners, this track still requires a lot of technical skill. You've got to be on top of it just at any given point. As there we see, I believe that was Whitlock got into the dirt a little bit there. And it's Lemkel was looking to maybe make a move there as Whitlock sent it a little too hard, and that's going to let Dan Banner back into the picture. So we've now got a three-way battle for P7 here. Let's see how this heats up. But like I
Yeah,
was
Zach, that's
saying, you've
Jordan Reich.
Jordan Reich, sorry. You've really got to be on top of it at every point from start to finish through every corner, or else you're going to wind up in the wall.
And the boys, I don't mean to add in here, but I mean to add insult to injury, Hagen Johnson was just recently given a drive-through penalty for reaching the incident limit tonight.
Oh man,
It's just it is just getting worse and worse for our faithful 7 car from Clemson University. A race to forget.
seems like a lot of drivers are having going to be able to use their drop week on this race. One of the interesting things about this league is that you do get one drop race. So if you decide to take a rest week, or if you have a really bad race, as we've seen Hagen Johnson and Miller in, they're probably going to use this as their drop week.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zach. And as we take a look at these Clemson cars here, Kyle Bonin and Andrew Williams both getting by Dan Banner in the early half of that lap. So some great moves there, a little opportunistic, but Kyle Bonin and Andrew Williams, two Clemson University cars, making it work on the first half of this lap in non-traditional overtaking spots here at Laguna Seca.
Kyle Bonin has just driven away from both of them too, so I think he's about a second and a half back from Carl Lemkel, who, by the way, I said at the top of this race that Lemkel would be back. He's a very good driver, and look at him running P7 right now.
Yeah, Lemko always seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, from my experience. You give him the space, give him his day. He's as fast as any of the guys out there. But sadly, just caught up with some incidents today as drivers continue to navigate their way around this tricky track. A little dust blowing onto the track, making it a bit slicker than normal. But right now, not too many fights or too many battles for position on track. Ted Burns, trying to recover from a spin at the corkscrew earlier, is trying to chip away at George Nimmer going up onto the Ray Hall straight after turn 6. It's a tricky spot in the track to make anything work, but if you mess up commentators curse strikes again. If Ted Burns
Oh, goodness.
spins it on the exit of turn 6 on the Ray Hall straight, I just think I need to be quiet for the rest of the night.
Wow.
As he almost collects another car coming behind him. It looked like to be Thomas Crump. That would have been an awful incident to have for Thomas Crump given his race tonight, but just unfortunate from Ted Burns. Really, he's had the pace, but just kind of overstepping the edge a little bit, and it's kind of bitten him multiple times tonight.
And usually in these cars, whenever you spin once or you do something that really upsets the car, it just really messes up your tires. So for these guys that have spun 2-3 times, they're going to find that coming down pit road is going to be a very good idea because your tires are not going to like you. Your car is not going to drive like it should. It's going to handle pretty poorly through the corners. And as we've seen some of the drivers that have spun come down pit road, that'll be a minute behind, but at least you'll have a very decent driving car as opposed to what you could have.
And just to not have a little bit of commentator's curse, just to give a little bit of an update about some cars at the rear of the field. Thean Leclerc said for some reason the car would not fire tonight, has not taken a single lap, and is currently out of the race. And notable other retirements are Ryan Whitlock, Nicholas Daly, and Ian Brown in this race too. Too much damage from earlier incidents. They have said to hang it up for the evening. Races to forget for a lot of people as we look towards the front. Jamie Lawrence, last lap was a 1:22.7. Second place, creeping up like Jaws, with a time of 1:21.5. Over a second faster is Sean Campbell, and he just put up a 1:21.4. He's getting even faster.
Actually just an alien. I believe that is the fastest lap of this race, the 1:28.18 that he just set in pursuit of Jamie Lawrence. Now, one of 21:344 is still a very, very fast lap. You got guys in the middle of the pack that are running 22s, 23s. So don't discount that it's just Jamie Lawrence being slow. These two guys are putting in just absolute belters of laps right now, going at it for the win.
Yeah, and one thing that we see here now is Jamie Lawrence approaching lap traffic. How's that going to affect his lap times? The 2 lap cars in front of him actually get into a little bit of a tango, front bumper to rear bumper, but Jamie Lawrence successfully navigates his way through that little shindig the 2 cars in front of him was having. But, that's going to be a factor. This is a pretty short track. This is a pretty compacted track. And there's a lot of cars having damage or being a lap down. The leaders are going to have to try and lap cars and not lose time. I'm not sure how much time Jamie Lawrence lost in that lap, but I can tell you it was definitely a pretty significant amount. Definitely in the corkscrew. That's a corner where you can really make up a lot of time. That looked to be a 22.894. We'll have to see what Sean Campbell does on this lap. A 21.421. So it's about a second and a half difference, give or take a few tenths. But, at this rate, Sean's definitely going to be approaching Jamie before the end of the race.
And that lap traffic really could not have caught him at a worse spot. The corkscrew is probably the hardest place to pass on this track, but for the double overtake that Jamie just did in the corkscrew on lap traffic while they were, essentially battling in front of him, that took skill. That is incredibly skillful. That is insane how he was able to pull that off. I want to tip my hat to you, Jamie, if you're watching this back. That was an incredible move, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see Sean now navigating some of the lap traffics as well. Tricky spot in turn 4 to get it done. It's especially because it's such a fast corner. It doesn't look like it's as fast as it is on the track map, but really only a lift and maybe a slight tap of the brakes if you're feeling really ballsy out there. But Sean Campbell still has to deal with some of this lap traffic in front of him, and that's definitely going to cost him a little bit of time in his pursuit of Jamie Lawrence up front. Hopefully this lap traffic gets out of the way nice and early for him, but this is not like Formula One. Lap traffic is not required to get out of your way. We can definitely see here that Sean Campbell losing a lot of time behind this lap traffic. Lap traffic can fight and stay in the lead lap, but he obviously has decided not to fight Sean Campbell. Probably a wise decision given how my fights with Sean Campbell have gone, which they've always ended in me losing. But Sean Campbell's still making his way through pretty quickly. It looked like he had a 122-ish lap time. I couldn't see the tenths of a second there, but definitely about half a second or a second slower than his previous laps there.
And I fought Sean once when he ran the Oval Series last year. I believe it was when we went to Kentucky. I started on the outside pole of him on a restart, and it wound up with me in the wall. Not saying that he's a dirty driver or anything. It's just I had to drive the dang wheels off of that car to even keep pace with him, and it wound up taking me out of the race. So yeah, he's just good. That's it, plain and simple. And he's definitely showing it tonight, even after taking a race off.
Now, gentlemen, there. Oh, speaking of a couple cars, Ted Burns in P4, he's having a good comeback from a couple spins, but a guy who is in P5 who had a race to forget in race 1 is Thomas Crump. He is making some people, understand it. He's here to stay, and he is trying his best right now. He is really running hard. I think we just had a spinner.
I think it was Hadesti. That's what I heard on the radio.
A little
Hadesti did
spinala.
spin. He did spin. Let's take a look here. Gets off the corner. Touches a little bit too much dirt.
Caught the dirt. Oh, kept it off the wall.
He did keep it off the wall, which is hard to do at this track. Kept it off the wall. The car looks clean. He's still running P6. Feeling pretty confident about that right now. Or now he's running P7. Bonin did get ahead of him. Oh, now he's running P8. Oh, God. Now he's P9. Oh, God. I mean, Jesus.
I think I heard Andrew Williams say on the radio that officially makes it now that every single Clemson car has spun in this race. So the Master Plan absolutely at work tonight.
As the team principal for the Clemson University Sim Racing team, also known as Orange Wheel Racing, that breaks my heart. I did not mean to commentate curse my entire team.
Burrell.
Yeah, Nick, you're continuing to commentate curse your entire team as Andrew Burrell. That was a bold move. I think that you could call that the absolute limit of cleanliness in a move. It was a little bit dirty pushing him wide off the track in the corkscrew, but it's a bit of a scrap between the Clemson cars and then Kyle Wood there in the back in the 18th place now.
Well, an excellent awareness from Kyle Wood as well, kind of foreseeing that Burrell was going to make that move, even though he may have sent it in a little too hard, but fair play to Kyle Wood there for recognizing that move was coming and preventing an even worse disaster for both of those drivers.
Yeah, it still looks like Hagen Johnson recovering from his earlier incidents, a lot of them, trying to chase down his Clemson teammate, Andrew Burrell. Currently a lap down, fighting for 15th and 16th, going through turn 4 right now. Hagen Johnson does have pace, but his car might not have the pace to back up his driving ability. So we'll have to see if he can catch up. A little bit of a quick dive bomb going down into turn 5. That was very, very bold. Bit opportunistic, but maybe there were some teammate orders there. Maybe it was Hagen pulling his, Fernando's faster than you tactic. But
Here with a little bit of insider information. That was team orders all day long.
That was team orders.
Andrew Burrell, no fault to him. He is most certainly willing to let another Clemson driver through. Hagen is one of our top flight, and if he needs to position, he's going to get it. So that's just another little example there. Good teamwork. Andrew Burrell playing the Sergio Perez role there. No fault to his own, but I mean it's just the way it is with pace right now. Hagen continuing on in P16 now, looking to go catch Miller in to be the first car one lap down. Not that there's any lucky dog in GT3, but if there was, he'd be kind of important.
And I was just about to say, Millerin has had a wildly successful second race compared to his first race. He is the first car one lap down, and if I remember correctly, this is Millerin's first CiL road start. So to finish on top of the on top of the lap cars in your first start. That's very impressive, and that's just a testament to how good of a driver he is, the alumni out of Purdue University in the 169 there. But we're going to see if Hagen Johnson can chase him down. Looks like he's about 40 seconds behind Millerin, but Hagen clearly a faster driver, as we've seen from race 1, him working his way almost up to the front, as well as practice and qualifying. Keep your eye on that battle for the first car 1 lap down. That'll be for P15.
Actually, I'm reading
Yeah.
through my monitor right now. Millerin only has a 3-second lead over Johnson, and Johnson's last lap was 3 seconds faster than Jeremy Millerin. So that may be a battle for P15 that we may take a look at here in a couple seconds. Looking at the timing sheets right now, we're at 23 minutes in this 25-minute race. It is getting near the end, and that means it's getting spicy up at the front. Jamie Lawrence's last lap was a 1:22.1. Sean Campbell's last lap was a 1:21.4, a 7/10 of a second difference with a gap of just 2.4 seconds. It's getting tight. Can we see a last lap pass for the win?
Yeah, Nick, I've been taking a look at this battle at the front for a while now as we switch our view to Andrew Williams, trying to get that 6th position from Carl Lemke. But Jamie Lawrence just took he came across the line just before they were going to be willing to pull the white flag out. So we still have 2 more laps to go right now as Andrew Williams looks a little bit opportunistic, trying to get late on the brakes against Carl Lemke. But right behind him, Thomas Crump. Looks like they've fallen a little. Thomas Crump maybe had a spin or something earlier because he was up in 5th earlier. I don't know what happened to him, if his tires just fell off or whatnot. But I feel like every time we come back to it, we're always looking at a Clemson car or something. Some really fast Clemson cars in the field tonight. Andrew Williams, Thomas Crump, both have been in the top 10 all night. Kyle Bonin, can't forget his name. But Jamie Lawrence right now, our race leader, coming to take the white flag right now. 1 lap to go. Looks like Sean Campbell still about 2 seconds back. I don't know if Sean's going to be able to get there tonight, guys.
I would be interested to see if he does, because this is going to be a hell of a fight coming to the flag.
Last time around, the difference in pace was only 3/10. Jamie Lawrence has saved something in the tank, but Sean Campbell, we know Sean Campbell's talent. He's probably turned on the turbo boosters if that car has it, because he's going just that much faster. He's looking to try to find his ways to get here to the next few corners.
All the way up the Rahal straight last time for Jamie Lawrence. Sean Campbell, 1.8 seconds back. We're going to see if he can hold off Campbell coming into the corkscrew for the last time. Hard on the brakes goes Lawrence through the corkscrew. Looks like there's a little bit of lap traffic ahead. We're going to see if that comes into play at all. Not sure who that is.
Michael Taganati.
Michael Taganati. Lap traffic there in front of Lawrence. But it doesn't look like it's going to play into Campbell's favor. He's still a 1.5 seconds back. Here comes Lawrence around the final corner onto the front stretch. He's going to be your race 2 winner at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, great race from Jamie Lawrence. Sean Campbell just couldn't get there tonight. Whether it was just Jamie's pace or if some of the wrecks in the field kind of held up Sean Campbell a little bit more than he'd like. Just couldn't get there. Finished 2nd tonight, but finished 1st in the first race. So that's a good haul of points for Sean Campbell. George Nimmer, a bit further back in the field. There's a bit of a gap between those two. But George Nimmer will be coming across the line, most likely in 3rd place. Ted Burns, right behind him, is going to be following up in 4th place to round out your top 4. Looks like still a little bit of a gap, but some great racing at the front. Just Jamie Lawrence and Sean Campbell a bit too fast for some of the other guys in the back. Yeah, as we take a look here at the last corner, this is Dan Banner in 9th and Hunter Haddisty in 10th. Just trying to get around the last corner, get 1 more position at the last chance, but Hunter Haddisty couldn't do it. Finishes 10th in this race, right behind Dan Banner. Justin Roberts comes home in 11th. Jordan Reich will round out the 12th spot. Alex Hallinar some ways behind them. But as the final stragglers on the lead lap come across the line, Zach, what are your thoughts on some of the racing we saw tonight here in race 2?
Well, we said it at the top of the show that this was going to be an incredibly hard track, with it being so hot and so narrow and all the dust around the track. And we saw that tonight. A lot of very good drivers will be using this as their drop week for the season. Races to forget all the way around for a lot of people. But the best of the best really shown. It was really a race of attrition. It was the people who kept it together, the best that finished there in the top 10, despite having some incidents themselves. But yeah, this was a really rough race for a lot of people. Like I said, your truly best, most consistent drivers are the ones who won today.
Yeah, absolutely. So as the drivers come across the line now, here we see our final results for the night. Jamie Lawrence, San Diego State University, takes the win in race 2 tonight, followed by Sean Campbell. Valiant effort from P12 after winning the first race. Couldn't quite get there in the end and finishes up in P2 for Randolph Community College. Rounding out your top 5, George Nimmer for Southern Illinois. Ted Burns finishes 4th after a few spins for University of Wisconsin. And Kyle Bonin, your 5th place finisher for Clemson University. So as we wait here for a few of our drivers to come in for interviews, we had some good racing tonight. Nick, you have any thoughts real quick while we wait for some of our interviewers, or interviewees, I should say?
I mean, both races had a bit of a bit of really good, interesting racing going on, and a lot of difficulties. Race one, it seemed to be that no one could get the corkscrew right, and that was just a common occurrence. Race two, apparently turn four, that's a difficult corner for a few people. Actually, no, I think it's like turn six. Turn six, where we saw pretty much half the field decide that they wanted to take a little bit of off-roading courses off turn six. That was a difficult experience to watch. I think a lot of people tonight misunderstood the assignment when it came to how to tackle Laguna Seca because it just did not look clean.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw some great racing here tonight, especially in race 2. Speaking of race 2, hopefully we can get our race winner, Jamie Lawrence, up in the booth if we have the opportunity. See if we can get him in here. We'll actually get George Nimmer in here first, our 3rd place finisher of the night, 2nd place in the alumni class. We'll see if we can get him up in here now.
There he is.
Okay. George Nimmer,
All right, George Nimmer, our 3rd place finisher for tonight. George, firstly, congratulations. In race 2 tonight, we kind of saw a lot of chaos at the start. Just kind of walk me through a little bit of what you saw in the start of race 2. Kind of how did you navigate a lot of that chaos, especially coming out of turn 6 onto the Ray Hall straight?
It was pretty nerve-wracking. I just wanted to keep it nice and tidy because I knew I had some faster drivers behind me. And then, yeah, that kink right before Ray Hall, I saw the car coming around, and it was a little bit of skill, but a lot of luck to get track left and avoid the carnage. And I just saw it in my mirror, and I was like, okay, I just got to take a deep breath and keep my pace and see what happens.
Well, George, go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, George, we saw a lot of chaos out there on track, but you were able to bring it home P3 after all of that. What were your thoughts on the track conditions? What would you say is the hardest? What was the hardest part of tonight for you?
For me at Laguna Seca, it's always just managing the limit on every corner exit because, it's effectively a street circuit. If you touch that sand, as we saw multiple times, the car's going to come around. And in the practice sessions, I did that myself quite a lot. So, you really have to push the car to its limit and get on those exit curbs to get your pace. But then it can have you come around. I mean, Teddy Burns was probably going to pass me, but then he found himself in that situation twice, which allowed me to keep that position.
George, I would like to congratulate you. I do believe, if not, correct me if I'm wrong, your first podium in CIL road competition tonight. Ted Burns is an elder statesman of the series. He has had a lot of experience in real life and in virtual race cars. How is the experience of trying to keep a man of that kind of caliber behind?
It did have me physically sweating, especially considering, Ted's a good friend of mine. He's the one that actually recommended the league. I've known him for a few years before I ever got on iRacing. So it was kind of cool, especially on the cool down lap there. He had closed the gap, but obviously didn't quite get past doing a little formation home. I actually think I'm going to see him on Friday for a stock car race. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, George, thank you for coming into the booth tonight to celebrate your third place finish. Any shout outs or any thanks you'd like to give for tonight's performance?
Well, I guess I kind of said it, but thanks to Teddy Burns for helping me get iRacing set up and getting into this league. My first season was last season, and I think I've made some improvement.
Indeed, boss. Hope to see you again soon, and as always, keep racing.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that was
Alrighty.
fantastic to hear from our third place finisher tonight, George Nimmer. Coming into the booth now, our race winner of the night, Jamie Lawrence. Jamie, congratulations on the race win for race 2. It was definitely a bit of a lonely race out front for the first half, but as Sean was catching you throughout the course of the race, what's going through your mind as you kind of see that number slowly getting smaller and smaller in your rearview mirror?
I actually had no idea where anyone was. My relative seemed to be like broken or something. Everyone just had random numbers ticking up and down all the time. So I didn't know who was like actually behind me or blue flags. Everyone was showing his blue flags. So I was just like not trying to let anyone pass me for the most part. So I was just trying to keep it on track and managed to not spin out or anything like I did in race 1.
Well, Jamie, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is your first CIL win. Am I correct in saying that?
I won a couple way back when, pilot in first season,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I think this is the first one in a while, so we'll count it.
Well, how does it feel to be back on top of the podium, feature race winner? Congratulations, man. How does it feel?
Pretty good, man. Consider this my home track. I grew up like an hour and a half away, so I always like racing here. When I saw it on the calendar, I had to make it. So it's kind of awesome that I got lucked into that P12 in race 1, got on pole for the second race, and just tried to keep it together. So a lot of fun and happy to come out on top.
Jamie, it's great to see you up here at the top of the podium. With the benefits of this format, finishing 12th actually really put it into your advantage where you got to start on pole. Um, was there any reservations about the field and how you came to finish 12th? I know there was some contact in race 1. Was there any adjustments you had to make from race 1 to race 2 in terms of how you would race the field and how you would see how things pan out?
Yeah, near the end of the race, I was trying to look at the best lap times of the guys around me who would be finishing just ahead of me on the road to see if I would be able to pull a comfortable gap. And it looked like I was, so I just tried to really get a good start there at the beginning, and hopefully just not tangle with anyone. But for the most part, the guys around me seemed pretty clean. I think it was just early in the race with a couple of guys in the back that I got a little tangled with. So clean other than that.
Well, Jamie, it is a pleasure to have you here in the booth as winner of our race 2 tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to thank? Any shout outs to give before we send you off on your way?
Yeah, shout out to my parents who are probably checking out the stream. So hope they're having a good day.
Well, Jamie, once again, thank you for coming on the booth tonight. And as always, keep racing, my friend.
Thanks for the broadcast, guys. Take it easy.
And that
Alrighty.
was go ahead, Zach.
And now that was our race winner, Jamie Lawrence, there that we just interviewed. Now we have our second place finisher, Sean Campbell. Sean, another podium, and you came back out of nowhere to do it. What's going through your mind right now, big man?
I don't know. Empty mind. I'm tired today. It was fun. I'm glad I got to do it again. Lap 1, race 2 was terrifying. But I think it's just about you kind of get some of the wreck avoidance when you drive super speedways where you just look out for any car that might potentially slide in front of you, you know?
Sean.
Yeah, Sean, I think. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, no, you go ahead, Matthew. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go second then. Sean, I know you mentioned I've had plenty of experience that super speedway wreck avoidance, but after the wreck, you spent a lot of the second race really chasing down Jamie, and towards the end there, you started dealing with a lot of lap traffic. Are you hoping that lap traffic is going to be fighting more the leader than once they get lapped, they'll be like, oh, we'll let the second place car by. Are you hoping that the lap cars are playing more of a factor in the leaders race than your race?
Mm, I guess, yeah. It seemed like Jamie got held up once or twice, and then I got to get let through perfectly fine. But I was just running. We were both running clean for most of it, so it was just about lapping. And I've had a lot of time around this track because of Ivra and other stuff. But props to him for keeping it up there.
Sean, it is always a welcome back for you when you come back. You finished first in the first race. You finished first in student in the second race. So you have earned the maximum amount of points you can tonight with 100 points. Are we going to see a championship run, or are you just calling it here at one race tonight?
I don't know. It'd be fun to do another one, but this is probably a one-off if stuff comes up. But it was fun. If I get the time, I'd definitely want to do it again.
Well, Sean, I'd like to thank you for coming in the booth tonight. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and as always, keep racing, my friend.
All right, thanks.
And that was Sean Campbell, our second place finisher in race 2 tonight. Just one more time, going back down through the order, reading through our race finish results from our feature race 2 tonight. Jamie Lawrence from San Diego State University finishing top of the podium, starting on pole position, leading every lap and finishing P1. Sean Campbell right behind him, starting 12th, finishing second for Randolph Community College. Rounding out the podium, we had George Nimmer for Southern Illinois coming third tonight after a pretty chaotic race. Rounding out the top 10, we got Ted Burns, University of Wisconsin, in fourth. Kyle Bonin for the University of Clemson, rounding out fifth. Andrew Williams for another Clemson driver with sixth. And then right behind him, his teammate and Thomas Crump coming seventh. Carl Lemkel had a good recovery after some dreadful race 1 actions in eighth. And Dan Banner for St. Clair College finishes ninth. 10th on a hat streak, rounds out the top 10 for Clemson University. Zach?
Finishing P11 is Justin Roberts, also from Clemson University. Man, you weren't kidding. These Clemson cars are everywhere. P12 is Jordan Reek. P13, Alex Hallinar from State University of New York, Binghamton. P14, Michael Tognati. P15, Hagen Johnson. P16, Andrew Burrell, all from Clemson University. P17 is Kyle Wood. Finishing P18, Daniel Rodriguez. Bringing it home 19th is Jeremy Millerin, an alumni of Purdue. And P20 is Joe Hutzler.
And rounding out our last 5 spots, Tyler Stone, P21, Ryan Whitlock, P22, Nicholas Daly, and P23, Ian Brown, P24, and Athena LeClaire, rounding out our 25 drivers tonight with a P25 finish. And that is the field for the second race. Matthew, I gotta say, this has been an event to witness.
Well, that's one way to put it for sure. But I think the big theme for tonight was that we saw a lot of mistakes from these drivers. A very punishing track. I think even just putting a wheel off the track resulted in 10, 15 seconds lost, spinning through the dust. So I think a lot of these drivers really, were trying to be aggressive and get positions in the races. But I think also the drivers who knew that patience was the factor, patience was the most important factor in their finishing position tonight, finished well.
Yes, I concur. I lost count of how many spins we saw tonight after race 1. I mean, the race 2, it was just all over the place. In terms of drivers who had a really good, comeback, I would say Thomas Crump. Race 1 goes just about as bad as you can imagine. He finishes a lap down. He finishes 16th. He's not thinking the world is right. He finishes P7, a nice recovery drive in race 2. Another driver to look at, Dan Banner. Dan Banner finished race 1 in 18th place. He was not looking too hot, but he comes home with a top 10 finish in race 2 with a P9. That's a stellar performance from Dan Banner. Zach, anything to look at?
Yeah, the drivers that really surprised me were the drivers that showed resilience between the two races. They didn't exactly have a good first race. They probably had a horrible first race, but they came back and finished well in the second race. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is Carl Lemkel. He had a horrible first race. He brought it home P8 there for St. Louis University. Congratulations to him on an amazing comeback, as well as Jeremy Millerin. This was his first oval start, and he finished um, pretty. He finished pretty high up there, despite also having a pretty horrible first race. And that's just the mentality that this road series brings with the two separate races. You can have a bad first race and you can bring it home really, really well in the second race, or you can have an amazing first race and throw it all away in the second one. And as we saw, tonight's races were also wars of attrition. It took skill, it took courage, it took guts, and it took a lot of patience, like you said, to bring home a very, very good finish.
Yeah, it's absolutely true, Zach. I think we saw a lot of the patience coming through for some of these road racers tonight. But next week, same time at 9 p.m. Eastern time, the CIL returns for the CIL first in the Oval Series. The Oval racers will be taking on the road course of Watkins Glen for the first time in CIL history. I think patience is definitely going to be a virtue there as some of these drivers navigate stock cars around right turns for the first time in many of their driving careers. So don't be afraid to tune in next week on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. CIL will be taking on Watkins Glen. And then 2 weeks' time, the CIL GT3 Challenge returns for Daytona. We'll be taking on the Daytona road course, not the oval, as drivers hope to navigate through the turns and the bus stop of the Daytona road course, that iconic track. So we hope that you tune in next week for the CIL over course and 2 weeks for the CIL road course. On behalf of myself, Nick, Zach, and as well as our production crew and stewards here at the CIL tonight, we all hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and take care and have a good evening.